A recent revelation that I had that has been tremendously helpful for me and my productivity is asking myself, is this the highest and best use of my time? Because I found myself procrastinating a lot. And after going into this mastermind that I finessed my way into, and we're going to talk about that in a second, that was one of the questions that was posed to us from the host. And ever since then, that stuck with me and has increased my productivity tenfold. So let's jump into how that's working and how this could possibly benefit you too. Hey y'all, it's your girl Christy. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, thanks for stopping by. And if you are a returning watcher or subscriber, hey girl or hey girl. But yeah, let's talk about it. And personally, I found myself or I find myself no, I said it right first time. I found myself to be a major procrastinator. And I can attribute that to overthinking. I'm always overthinking about things that just don't matter. Or I'm always thinking 10 steps in the future. Or all types of things that just don't make sense for what I'm trying to do. For instance, let's say in my business, right? I'm a real estate agent. Something that would hold me back a lot, especially in the beginning, is that I would be thinking about when I've already sold millions of dollars in volume, how that's going to affect me tax wise, when I don't need to be worried about that. You know, does this sound familiar? If this sounds like you, let me know in the comments because I want to know if this is, I know I'm not the only kind of crazy this is, but yeah, so that's an example. So if you're like me and you're thinking about all the responsibilities and things that you'll have once the thing becomes successful or once the thing becomes great, stick around. But let's really in. This is one of my biggest forms that I feel like that's the root of my procrastination, and this is why I'm not getting things done, because then that thought pattern sends me into like a paralyzation. Now I'm just paralyzed. I'm like, I don't know what I would do at that time, but I don't need to know what to do at that time. And this goes back to my original point, is that this is not the highest and best use of my time. Now, I finessed and finagled my way into a mastermind that I probably normally wouldn't have went to. I was doing my getting out of my comfort zone networking in person, and I went to an event. Through networking, I got invited to this event, and then the speaker there was really good, right? And she was having a mastermind up in what we call horse country here in the Atlanta area. If you know, you know. But so the mastermind was beautiful. Very different for me, but it was beautiful. It was a lot more diverse in that there were lots of women who were not black there. I'm clearly black, and I usually go to a lot of activities for black women. This channel is called The New Black Girl, and it's because we explore the themes of black womanhood and what that looks like. And so this was the direct opposite of that. Because there were not very many black women in the room. Honestly, I think I was maybe the only black woman in the room, now that I'm thinking about it. But there were other women of color there, a few. But I think it was healthy to be in this space because it helped me see the mindset of other women who are not black. I was raised in a black city. I live in a very black city. I did not go to a black college, but my university had a very rich black community. I live in a predominantly black neighborhood, and so I'm always around black people. But in this instance, I was not, and I'm not uncomfortable in those spaces because I'm also used to those spaces. I went to a very white school. I work in a very white real estate firm. So there's there's no level of uncomfortability for me there, but what I did get to experience was something I never experienced before, was a peek into their mindset. And of all the things that I took away from that was her telling us to start to focus on utilizing the highest and best use of your time and stop focusing on activities that do not matter or do not serve the goal. And of everything she said, that stuck with me. And I think it was because I recognize that I am a chronic overthinker, and that a lot of times the best use of my time is not planning, it is not writing, it is not reading another book, it is not taking another class, it is not buying another course, it is not taking another meeting. It is actually doing the thing that I'm supposed to be doing. you know, it's literally putting my feet on the ground, taking the steps, and doing the thing. And of all the women who were there who had very successful businesses, a lot of them did. I would say the majority of the room had multi-million dollar businesses. That was the number one thing that they all had in common, is that even when they didn't have a plan, even when they weren't sure, even when they hadn't flushed everything out, they didn't know everything, they hadn't figured everything out, they were not the expert in the space, they still went and did the thing. And I was blown away by this. Even though I had heard it before, I think it was a little more profound in this space because, one, I was finally open and ready to learn this. And in order to be in this space, I had to stretch myself and stretch my level of comfortability to get into the space. And I think a lot of times we take it for granted when we hear it from our peers or from the people who look like us who are also successful, because it's like, I hear you and it doesn't quite register the same because it doesn't cost you as much to get into this space. You get what I mean? I learned a lot that day, but the biggest thing that I want to impart is that you may feel like you're taking a huge risk by just taking the steps, but without the risk, there is no reward. And like one of the panelists said, and this really clicked in my mind and switched things over for me, was one of the most devastating things that happened to her was that she lost $7 million. I think it was $7 million. Maybe it was 12. Maybe it was 20. And that was the most devastating thing that ever happened to her. And I want you to kind of sit with that for a minute, because if you are like me and you start to think about some of the most devastating things that have ever happened to you, that doesn't even come close to what you've lost. And when you put it in that perspective, and you've lost something so greater than even 7 or 10 or 12 million dollars or $20 million, you might have lost something of much greater value than money could ever be. If that's all you could look forward to losing, how can you not afford to take the risk? So I'm going to leave you with that. I hope this message encourages you to check yourself, start to do the thing, and make sure you are utilizing whatever that is at the highest and best use of your time. If that's exercising and getting yourself back right, if that's sitting in front of the camera like I'm doing right now, if that's cooking yourself a healthy meal, if that's spending time with your family, your friends, your loved ones, if that's putting your feet on solid ground and getting energy, if that's yoga, if that's whatever is the highest and best use of your time to become the best version of yourself, make sure you make time to do that thing. Your future self will thank you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you think someone you know needs to hear this message, please share it with them. And if you would like more videos and messages like this in the future, be sure to subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.